Welcome back to another video on simple manufacturing software features and functionality. In this video, we will demonstrate the employee training management module. In any manufacturing business, having an employee training program helps build and maintain the competency levels of its workforce. Having a well-trained and competent workforce is necessary for business success. The objectives for this video are to define a training item and provide some examples of what they are. Next, we will demonstrate the training matrix section, which is our unique approach to generating employees' training requirements. Then provide a short demonstration of managing the list of trainers, followed by demonstrating how training records are recorded once training is completed. Then, we will demonstrate the training scheduler module, view the calendar feature in Simple Manufacturing, and how it can be filtered to show only training items. Go over some of the automated features of alerting supervisors and employees of upcoming training, along with the reporting options, and finally, how to navigate around the training menu. Now let's dig into the employee training management module. From the main menu of Simple Manufacturing, click on Training Management. This opens the training menu. First, let's explain a training item. Typical training items for a manufacturing business include the quality manual, procedures, policies, work instructions, and forms, all of which support the ISO 9001 and AS 9100 standards. They can also include standards, specifications, safety items, and OSHA requirements, such as forklifts, fire extinguishers, CPR training, and bloodborne pathogens. Furthermore, they could also receive on-the-job training experience. Additionally, they could include a series of onboarding videos or policies that each employee must view or review upon hire. These could range from intellectual property rights, company policies, employee handbook, patent rights, and code of ethics. In summary, a training item is any item that your organization deems worthy of training its workforce with, and then recording the completion of such training. Additionally, for every training item, there is a default training frequency, options for training levels, and an option to specify the minimum number of trained personnel at each training level. Let's take a look at a few of them now. From the training menu, click on View Training Items. This opens up a view of all active training items. Let's look at the specific training item, named Work Instruction Template. Using the Filters section, I can add the word Work to the search field, which will display all training items containing work in any data field. Alternatively, I can remove that and select the form number F0008. In both cases, the work instruction template is displayed. Just double-click it to see the details of this training item. For this specific training item, the training frequency is set to 12 months and no training hours have been added. If the organization requires identifying the number of training hours provided to each employee over a specified period, add the training hours. When a training record is entered, the employee is credited with the specified training hours. For this training item, the training levels are not utilized. There is a link to the document in Document Control, as shown below. You can double-click on the document, or the template in this case, by clicking View File. We can now look at another training item, specifically the ECO procedure. To do this, I can add ECO into the search field and then double-click the training item. In this case, training hours have been added along with the use of training levels that make sense for this specific training item. Only the training levels used will show in the Training Gap Analysis report. There are two different methods for adding a new training item. The first is to add it from the training item form. In this case, click Add New Training Item. This opens up a new training item record where the training description, frequency, hours, facility, and training levels can be added accordingly. The alternate method is through the Document Control module. Many of the training items added in a manufacturing business will be procedures, work instructions, and forms. In those cases, we recommend this option. When adding a new document in the Document Control module, one of the attributes is to identify the item as a training item and add the training frequency. When using this method, once the document is released, the automated release process also creates the training item in the Training Management module. The training item ECO procedure was added initially using this method. When we click on the training item, the link to the document is shown below. The The document can be viewed by clicking View File. The benefit of this method is that now the training item is linked to the document in Document Control. This link provides two benefits. First, if the original document is revised, the release process for the revision will involve either expiring all training records for the original revision and requiring training for the new revision, or keeping the training expiration dates and applying them to the subsequent document revision. Additionally, when a document or video is opened from the training item, the information on who viewed it and when it was viewed is captured behind the scenes, providing evidence that it was viewed from the training item area. Moving on to the training matrix. Simple Manufacturing has a unique approach to generating training requirements. At a high level, the principal idea is to create an employee's training requirements by combining the work centers they primarily work in, the processes they are involved in, the products they work on, and their job title. Organizations can choose the option that best suits their needs and those of their employees, and can use any combination. The function that generates and updates each employee's requirements does all the work for you. Let's run through some examples. To illustrate the concept, we will establish training requirements for a specific employee, namely Benedict Vega. Let's begin by reviewing Mr. Vega's training requirements as they currently stand. To do this, click Refresh Now to update the training requirements, and then click View Training Requirements in the Report section. Then select Benedict Vega under the Employee filter, and finally click Preview. This will display a report that shows all of the training requirements for Mr. Vega. It shows 5 items. 4 of them have an added reason of job title. Those were added to the list because Mr. Vega's job title of buyer has those training items as being needed for all buyers, as we see here. The last item shows the added reason as training. This means that there is a training record for Mr. Vega, showing completion of training for this item. However, this item is not a required one. Let's examine the details in this report closely. As you can see, the top 4 items are required, and they're all checked as needed. That is because there is no training record entered for Mr. Vega completing any one of these items. Now, looking at the last item, we see there's a training record showing he completed training on that specific training item, and it displays the date of training and the expiration date of that training. For demonstration purposes, we will review each training matrix and add a requirement from each one. Let's begin with the product matrix. Let's review the current list of training item requirements for Benedict Vega. Click on View Training Requirements, then choose Benedict Vega. Currently, there are a total of 5 items, 4 added from a job title requirement and 1 added from creating a training record without it being a requirement. Closing that out, we then click Product Matrix. On the left is a list of all products. These are all the part numbers from the Simple Manufacturing Item Master that are classified as make parts. The idea is to select a specific make part and compile a list of training items that operators need to be trained on when manufacturing this product. We will keep the demonstration simple and add 1 training item to a product. So we choose the first product on the list, then select from the training requirements side and choose Add. This opens a form that lists all training items. Scroll down the list and check off all of the training items needed, then click Save. Keeping this simple, we will select First Aid and click Save. Once saved, when the product is selected, the list of training items associated with the product is displayed. To see a printable version of this list, click Print, and a printable version of the list will be available. The next step is to connect personnel to these products. Select the Product to Employee Matrix tab. 2 different options exist. The top section is used to select the operator, and then choose the products the operator works on. The bottom section lists the products, and then selects all the employees who work on that specific product. For demonstration purposes, we will select the top section, choose Benedict Vega, and then click Add under the product section. Click the first product, then click Save. Closing out of the product matrix, we now need to refresh the training requirements by clicking Refresh. Once refreshed, we can select the View Training Requirements report again, select Enter Benedict Vega into the Employee filter, and then preview the report. We now see that First Aid has been added to the list with the added reason of product. For the following example, we will demonstrate the Work Center Matrix option. Note in Benedict Vega's training requirements list that the first aid requirement was added due to a product to which we were connected. We will now demonstrate how to add a Work Center training requirement. Select Work Center Matrix. The list of Work Centers is displayed. We can click on the Work Center weld and see that no training requirements are linked yet to the Weld Work Center. We can add a few by clicking Add in the Training Requirements section. For demonstration, we will select two of them, First Aid and Fire Extinguisher, then click Add Now. Once added, when a Weld Work Center is selected, both of these are now displayed. Notice also that the default training frequency added is that of the training item. However, the training frequency can be changed in this matrix. Since the Weld Work Center has an elevated risk of fire, we will change the frequency of fire extinguisher training from every 12 months to every 6 months. This means that any employee associated with the Weld Work Center will now be required to retrain on the fire extinguisher every 6 months. Let's double-click on this requirement. Change the frequency from 12 to 6, then save. Now the frequency shows 6 months. Now, let's add the Weld Work Center to Benedict Vega. Select the Employee to Work Center Matrix tab. Select Benedict Vega. Click Add in the Work Center section. Select the Weld Work Center. Click Save, and then Close Out. We will refresh the training requirements. Then select the View Training Requirements report again. Select Benedict Vega and preview the requirements. We now see that fire extinguisher training has been added due to a Work Center association. And note that the training frequency is set to every 6 months. This demonstrates that the default training item frequency can be set independently for each matrix item. Additionally, note that the first aid is now displayed as being added due to a Work Center. Keep in mind that the first aid requirement for Benedict Vega comes from two requirements, a product and a Work Center association. If the first aid requirement is removed from the Weld Work Center, when the training requirements are refreshed and the View Training Requirements report is previewed again for Benedict Vega, the first aid training requirement will still be on the list, but the added reason will then be displayed by product association. Moving on to the job title matrix. Looking at Benedict Vega's training requirements, we can see that his job title is buyer. Looking at the list, there are 4 items added based on the job title. Let's now examine the job title matrix section and see how those entries were added. Here is a list of all the job titles for the employees listed in Simple Manufacturing's Human Resources module. As with the other matrix options, select any of the job titles to see the training items they are associated with. As previously demonstrated in the Work Center matrix, double-click on any one to revise the training frequency. To delete any, click on the training item and then click Delete. To add additional training items, click Add. Note that all current training items already linked to the job title are checked off. To add new ones, select the ones to add and then click Add New. Selecting Benedict Vega's job title of buyer, we see 4 items, the same 4 items that were on his training requirements list. To view all job titles and the associated training items in a printable format, click Print. Clicking the Job Title to Employee Matrix tab will display all employees and their corresponding job titles. To view all employees with the same job title as Benedict Vega, select Sort by Title, which sorts the list by title. Scroll down the list and see that there are a total of 5 employees with the title buyer. Using this job title matrix results in all 5 of these employees having the same training requirements based on their job title. When an employee's title changes, they will then inherit the training items for their new title. Moving on to the process matrix. This matrix has the same features and functionality as the others. The process list is displayed, allowing you to add a specific training item to a process. Furthermore, the same functionality as the other matrix is available for associating an employee with a process or a particular process with multiple employees. In all cases, these entries are added to the employee training requirement list, along with the added reason of process when a refresh of the training requirement function is completed. Lastly is the employee matrix. When none of the other matrix options align with an employee's training needs, this option allows training items to be associated directly with the employee. Just select an employee, in this case Benedict Vega, and then click Add. All of the training items already in Benedict's list from his current employee matrix options are checked. In this case, there are none. If another training item is necessary, check it and click Add Now. Close out of the employee matrix, refresh the training requirements, and view the training requirement report again, filtering by Benedict Vega, and the new training item is added to his list with the added reason of employee. Now that it is understood how training requirements are generated and managed, let's examine a few options available for determining what training is expired or soon to expire. One way to view the report is to select View Training Requirements by Training Item. Click Preview. This displays a list of the training item, the employees that require this training item, the date of training, the expiration date of the training, and the status. A visible check under Needs Training indicates that training is required now. To filter down to a specific training item, enter a particular training item, such as First Aid, then click Review. This list shows all personnel who require first aid training, along with the details and status of their training. In this case, 3 employees. Another communication method for training is the to-do list. To demonstrate the accuracy of the report and the to-do list, I will open the training requirements list for Benedict Vega. Note that the report indicates 9 trainings that need to be completed, marked by the check under Needs Training. All of them are required because no training records exist to indicate that the training was completed. Now moving over to the to-do list, it is always defaulted to the login user. In this case, I need to switch to Benedict Vega to see what he sees in his to-do list. As shown here, he has a total of 9 items needing training. When that bucket is selected, the training item details are all displayed, matching the information in the printable report. The to-do list will also include training required in the next 30 and 60 days. To see an example of that, we can view the training requirements report for Lamar McLean. Upon review, 3 training items will expire within the next 30 days, specifically on July 23rd and 31st. 2 others will expire within the next 60 days, on August 15th and August 23rd. Moving over to the to-do list for Lamar McLean, we see the same information. 2 items are needed within the next 30 days. When we click on that bucket, we will see the details of those training items. When we click on the 60-day bucket, we will see the training item details for those. Another communication method is through the SimpleManufacturing calendar module. Many of the calendar items are updated through automated, behind-the-scenes processes. One of these is to add to the calendar all upcoming training requirements, which are cases where an employee has been trained but now requires retraining. The training items that Lamar McLean needs on July 23rd can be found by selecting the month and year, then filtering the calendar to display only training information. As you can see, the training is listed on July 23rd. If the user double-clicks on the date, the training requirements are displayed. Lamar is listed as one of the many individuals who require this training. Clicking on the 31st displays the training required on that date and the list of employees who need to complete it. When training is completed and recorded in the training management module, the person or organization that completed the training is identified. To manage the list of those trainers, click Trainers. This provides a list of all third-party training organizations, as well as your business, and the personnel internally who have been trained to provide training. To add a new trainer, click Add New Training Organization. Enter the training organization, and in this case, I'll add Ted's first aid training and then add Ted Smith as the trainer. Other fields, such as an email address, are especially valuable to add so that emails can be sent to them about upcoming training needs. Once the trainer list has been added, it's time to start entering the training that has been completed. First, let's look at the training needs for first aid. Using the training requirements by training item report and entering first aid into the filter, we see that 3 employees require this training, as evidenced by the absence of any training records and the presence of a check mark under Needs Training. Now let's record that the training has been completed. Click Add New Training Record. Select the training item that was completed. For this demonstration, we are adding a first aid training item. Note that when this training item is selected, the default training frequency and training hours are added. Also note that the date of training is defaulted to the date of entry, and the expiration date is automatically set to the date of training plus the training frequency. In this case, 12 months from the date of training. Change the date of training if it is incorrect, and the expiration date will be updated accordingly. If applicable, enter the level of training. The level of training entry is required if the organization has established a minimum training level for this specific training item. If not, then this can remain blank. Select the training organization and the trainer. Note that the list of employees who require this training has already been selected. In this case, there are 3, and all 3 have been selected and have completed the training. Review the selected list. Unselect those not in training and select those that were. If a class roster has been created and includes signatures of trainees, scan it into an electronic file and click Get File Path in the class roster section. For demonstration purposes, I am adding one. Once added, click Save Training Record. Review the list of employees completing the training, including the date of training, expiration dates, and other relevant details to verify its accuracy. Note that an automated process creates certificates for each individual completing the training, along with wallet-size versions as well. To view one, click on the Certificate link tab, and then select the certificate you want to view. They are in PDF format, can be emailed or printed, and given to employees if necessary. When finished, click Save Training Records. After the training records have been entered, click Refresh Now to refresh training requirements. Open the same training item report and review the report again. It will now show the training records added and indicate that the training is no longer required. When we view the to-do list for Benedict Vega, it now shows one less training requirement since the first aid is now complete. Additionally, the calendar is updated, removing the first aid training needed and replacing it with an entry that training was completed. Filter the calendar by training completed. This training was completed on July 10th, as shown here. Clicking this training in the calendar opens the training records, revealing that 3 people have completed the training. The training management module in SimpleManufacturing also has a training scheduler. The concept is simple. Choose a training item to schedule. In this example, we will use the BOM data entry work instruction. After choosing this training item, the employees needing the training are conveniently identified, including the expiration date of their existing training, where applicable. Additional employees can be added to the scheduled training by using the list of employees on the right side. Enter the date, time, location, and expected duration of the training. Then click Schedule Training. The scheduler is prompted to prepare emails, and for this demonstration, we will click Yes. This is the email that is ready to go out to all employees, informing them of the scheduled training. It can be reviewed and revised before sending. This process also adds the planned training to the calendar, and the scheduled training will now appear in the employees' to-do list. In addition, the training requirements report is updated with the scheduled training date. Let's look at these items in more detail. Opening the same training requirements report, we now see the scheduled training added. Moving over to the calendar, it can be filtered to show only the scheduled trainings, which are shown here on July 11th. Furthermore, the scheduled trainings also appear on the employees' to-do list. Let's look at Daniel Roberts, as he is one of the employees scheduled for the BOM data entry training item. A new entry was added for scheduled trainings. Click on the item to view the scheduled training details. Let's review the features of this training management module. There is a list of training items that identify the training. The system automatically generates and updates employees' training requirements through the use of the matrix options. Training records are added, which identify what was trained, who was trained, when the training occurred, and when the training expires. Lastly, we demonstrated the training scheduler feature, the calendar, and the to-do list of logged-in users. Now let's look at some of the other features. One click to view all training items, and then another to see the details of any of these training items. If a training item is linked to a document, such as a procedure or work instructions, and that procedure or work instructions is revised, the document control release process will update the matrix options automatically with the new revisions, and therefore update the employee's training requirements. Another automated process is to decide if retraining is required for the new revision, or keep the existing training records and apply them to the newly released revision. If the document control process is not used, Then training items can be revised manually by clicking Add New Training Revision, entering the old revision, and selecting the new revision. Next, determine how to process the training records associated with the old revision and save the revision. All matrix options are updated, and all historical training records are processed accordingly. A single click prepares and sends emails to employees and their supervisors regarding expired trainings and those due in 30 and 60 days. Here's an example of what that email looks like. Viewing the training records by training item is as simple as one click, then choosing the training item of interest and clicking again to see all of the training requirements and the training records linked to those requirements. Who gets the automated training emails is managed through the training notification section. Just select the employees to receive the emails. Update the list anytime. It's that simple. There are numerous reports available to help manage the training program. Everything from listing training records to viewing the current matrix links and what training has expired or is soon to expire. I hope this video helped demonstrate the features and functionality of the Simple Manufacturing Training Management module. If you have any questions or would like to discuss your business needs, please do not hesitate to give me a call or email. I would love to hear from you.